afternoon, this is RFC Maki with yet one more battle report for the online versus match in Birds of Steel, played on the Xbox 360. The cat back there in the 109 Emil is my good friend Pops, Pops Brinks on Xbox, or Pops the Old Man, or even I think sometimes he goes by Corporal Agarn F Troop. Either way, he's taken a hiatus from the game and has joined me back in the other night playing a game. So I thought I'd post this with him flying as my wingman. He's up there above me to my right. I'm flying the BF-109 F8 in the chase in order to earn 30 online player kills to unlock the sexy, hungry tiger stripe skin. For this bird, when I started this game, I think I had about 20 or 21 kills towards the 30 necessary. Don't really love flying the plane, but it is a challenge and interesting, so I took off this plane. As I've said in other videos, the trick in this plane is to stay low once you take off and try to get your speed up to 300 kilometers per hour. Once it gets above 300, then you can begin climbing a little bit. So in order to do this from a safe place, I circled my own airfield. The map that we're flying on here is a glitched map. I think it was a Kuban map that I forget what I overlaid on top of it. Sorry about that weird funky glitch. Sometimes when I do the playbacks, I try to go for an external shot. It doesn't give me that. I don't know what the glitch was, but you could ignore that. So all the shots in this one will be from the cockpit view. Here I am, having taken off, and am beginning to search the air for enemy planes. This is played in sim mode with the map icons left on, but no airplane markers or anything like that. The sim does allow some players to use third-person view, although most of the guys that I play with, Pops and I included, only ever use pilot view. So here we are flying over one of the towns and looking for enemy planes. Pops and I were we're communicating on this one a little bit, although I don't know that we necessarily flew very tightly as wingmen. We at least looked out for each other as best we could, tried to keep track of where the enemies were. There were at least 2 enemy players playing this game, so we were trying to keep an eye out for them. And at this point, circling something like the center of the field and keeping track of the river to see if I can find who's where, and spotted a plane. Wasn't sure, I don't remember now what that plane was, but trying to keep track of who's where. At this point, the plane is something above 400 kilometers per hour, or something very close to 400 kilometers per hour. Oh, I don't know, look at that, it says about 350. So it's actually in a place where the speed is workable, and here, since I'm relying on sight alone to track enemies that I may have spotted as a dot on the map or something, I'm trying to waggle my wings a little bit to see who's flying where and see who's taking off from what spot. About 1,000 meters up, or 3,000 feet up at this point, and tracking down below me, just off my off the right window, just getting ready to cross the river, is a bomber. I try to give the bombers a little bit of time to circle or take off, but this guy seems like he was perfectly willing to fly low and head straight for our base. So when he gets about towards the middle circle, that's when I decided to go ahead and loop down upon him and take him out. He spotted me, he's fired, but at that point it's too late. I did some damage to his oil tank and rose up above him. The damage must have been good enough, because a moment later he smacked the ground, and I was given credit for the kill. So one more kill towards the 30 kills that I needed to unlock the skin. I had enough energy on that boom and zoom to rise up to the perch. Something or somebody fired at me, so I did a split S, pulled down, and I'm looking to see if I was followed by whatever it was. If it's an AI, they'll stick on your tail pretty much. If it was a player, not always, but some of the less experienced players will get lost by a dive move like that. Having spotted another plane down below, actually another couple planes down there. There's 2 there. One's rising up right at me. That's a Gladiator. British Gladiator, and I roll in order to try to keep up with it, but I think I've said in other videos, those Gladiators are a bit of a challenge to keep up with if they're flying evasive, especially when flying this F8. There's a glitch in the online versus versions of this game in which the AI players still have what's called arcade boost, so they can fly their planes with unnatural speed and unnatural energy. And sometimes in a plane like this one, it's best just to leave them alone. Every once in a while, the game will freeze up like that too. Another plane drifts across the nose and down to my right, but it wasn't one I was interested in. So I'm still on the hunt or on the lookout for enemy planes. And also trying to keep an eye out for my friend Pops to see what's going on with him. He's taken a several-month hiatus from the game, having produced a really long what-if documentary featuring video from the game to support a what-if alternate history of what might have happened had the Germans developed jets earlier in the war. I'll post a link to that video at the bottom if you're interested in watching it. Also, you might look to see liking or following Pops' channel, because he's got a lot of videos where he flies Mustangs or the Russian Yaks. I think are some of his favorites, and so there's a lot of videos featuring those, and I think also a lot of them featuring the NA-262, the German jets, which you may find interesting. It would be worth following or checking out his videos. Here, somebody zoomed past me, so I'm trying to keep a sight as to who that is. Checking my 6. I think Pops at this time was not sure who he was following, and so I told him that I would waggle my wings to let him know whether or not it was me. One of the biggest challenges in this game, I think, the biggest challenge in this game is spotting and identifying enemy planes. In a game where you don't have markers or tags, often you're relying on visual cues like paint schemes, wing configurations, and markers to identify who enemies are, and so anytime you can communicate, let somebody else know, that's the good thing. In this case, I also do, when I fly, I set my convergence to 150 meters, because that's about the distance when I can wind up telling who somebody is, and 150 meters is really not very far away at all. There, I've just spotted an enemy plane. It looks to be like a Hurricane, I think, and with some deflection shots, managed to shear the Hurricane's wing off. The pilot did parachute out, but his plane spirals down into the river. So that's a second player kill in this game. And the first one with boom and zoom, the second one with a bit of a deflection shooting. So here I am tracking the plane, trying to figure out who this is. It looks like a Spitfire from here. The fat wings of the Spitfire. So I'm tracking it and seeing what I can manage to come up with from this. And lowering my nose just a tad. Whoever's in this plane is flying straight, obliging an easy kill, so I get really close. And not the best shooting, but enough to destroy him and get a third kill. That would be 3 player kills so far this game, and things are going quite well. I hadn't run out of fuel at this point. There's the parachute, so you can see the guy did manage to bail again. And all still so far while maintaining a pretty decent altitude. So I gotta say, overall I'm fairly pleased with my performance in this match. In the video replay I can see that I'm not quite checking my 6 often enough. And there was a match that I played last night, not sort of more recently than this match, where I was trying to finish off the last of those 30 kills. And one of the first matches I got paid for my cockiness by getting shot down, and never even saw who was on my tail. But clearly it must have been somebody who idled up behind me, just like I've done to a couple of these guys, and let me have it. So I really do need to make sure that I check my 6 a lot more than I do. You can see from this video that I'm not doing it that much, keeping an eye off my wing, but not always aware of what's going on behind me, and that's very, very dangerous. Here I think Pops had told me that he was having some troubles. I think he was having some smoke issues, or his plane was smoking, so I was trying to see if I couldn't head back and give him some cover as he headed back towards the airfield, just in case anybody would be coming after him. there in front of me appears to be another gladiator, and I line up on him, but the gladiator pulls a quick type move, and I went after him, didn't have the energy to do it, and stalled out. So I would call that a mistake. Immediately, in order to correct for it, I tried to reverse by dropping my nose, regaining some speed, regaining control, and then climbing back up again. There's at least 3 planes over here in front of me that I'm keeping an eye after. This one is Pops. There we go. So I'm behind him, I think, and just keeping an eye on him. I gotta say, he's doing very nicely. I know he hasn't played a lot of sim in a long time, but he's doing very nicely by really staying well in the altitude. Now that plane was a Spitfire, drifted across in front of me. The player had his wheels down a couple times in this game, so I think he must have been struggling with the controls. I assumed that he'd stayed parallel. In watching the replay, I saw that he dropped altitude really fast, and here I am visually tracking the wrong plane. I got confused when I looked left, so he dropped down, and consequently, even though it looked to me, even though I was salivating at the possibility of an easy kill and for that Spitfire, I lost track of him and couldn't find him again. Still, I think despite losing sight of people, this game I felt like I was finding the enemy fairly quickly and fairly easily. And I think overall that this, in that sense, is a success, the ability to spot, track, and follow enemy planes. I've mentioned this in other videos, but I'll mention it here, that I use the Xbox controller, but I use the alternate Xbox controller settings. There's a couple defaults, and this is not the initial default. Looks to me like there's another enemy player. But it looks, I use the, not the Xbox, the default setting, but the alternate settings, which allows your right stick, frees your right stick up entirely to be your look around, and your left stick controls your pitch and your ailerons. There goes that same enemy plane. So trying to keep an eye out for him. And it looks like I had a gladiator, somebody shot at me. So tracking enemy planes at this point, try to figure out who's where. The downside to using this default system, I've had to remap a number of keys. The downside to using this button system is that I have to use the right and left buttons to control my rudder, and since those are analog and not digital, it's a little bit less smooth and gradual than it would be if I were using analog controls, and that makes the plane a little bit more left and right jerky. And I wind up using the right and left trigger. That was a Mustang I spotted there, and that shot, I took that shot from well out of range, but the nose cannons on the even though the wing guns converge to the center at about 150 meters, the nose cannons arc a little bit and fly straight, so I managed to down a Mustang from a distance, giving me my 4th player kill in this game. But as I was saying, I use the right and left triggers for acceleration and deceleration in this game, which means that rather than squeezing the triggers to fire, I wind up using the A button with my thumb as my shooting, and I know other serious simmers would rather keep their cannons and machine guns on different controls. This game, I wind up just always using them both together. Now I look back here, and I've got a gladiator on my tail. I did manage to spot somebody on my 6 and stay safe. But he was far enough away to where I think I was counting on being able to outrun him a bit, or wasn't so worried initially that he was going to be able to get on my tail and shoot me down. The trick was just to sort of keep exiting the area and stay far away from him. But at this point, I believe the game was nearly over. I felt pretty good. I managed 4 player kills, didn't get shot down at all, didn't manage to get hit, trail smoke, and didn't need to land or refuel or rearm. So I'm going to go ahead and call this game a great success. Last night I did manage to finish off my last of the kills, and managed to unlock the skin for the hungry skin, the Tiger Fight hungry skin for the F8. All that's left now are some specialized skins for Malta and Kuban. But next plane I think I'm going to try to look to get better at is the BF-110. Cheers, and see you guys next time.